more than anything, I became involved in Shanti's life because I'd see her every day from the veranda of the hotel that I was staying in, which overlooked the marketplace. And this was her beat. This was her territory. This is where she and her gang hung out. They spent most of their days begging and playing, much more playing than begging. And I was struck by the discrepancy between what I was witnessing, what I saw in Shanti and her friends, and the many reports that I'd read, one of which referred to the kids roaming the streets and wasting away in despair, living a gloomily ignorant and dangerous existence, their every day a cycle of torment, hunger and thirst. I guess they must have figured out I was making a film about street kids because they played the role to the hilt, even to the point of parodying themselves. And at that point, it felt ridiculous for me to pretend that I was an objective observer. If they were going to parody their role as street kids, how could I possibly take my role as a filmmaker completely seriously? So I decided to take them out to lunch. So I went with Shanti to the marketplace, thinking that I was going to be feeding 3, 4 or 5 people. By the time I arrived in the marketplace, at the store where they wanted to eat, I had 20 people. So food was really the basis of my relationship with Shanti. She was forever hungry and I was forever taking her into the markets, often with some other friends and sometimes with her mother as well, to buy them fruit and bread. But there was one particular day when our relationship changed. We were crossing the road and Shanti held out her hand and took my hand. I couldn't have held Shanti's hand and filmed at the same time and would have in fact felt very stupid doing so. So there's no visual record of me walking through the traffic holding Shanti's hand, unless of course we appear in somebody else's pedophile film. Middle-aged man walking through the traffic holding hands with a 10-year-old girl. This was precisely the kind of image that I'd hoped to find for my own film, evidence of pedophile activity in Cambodia. And I thought how ironic it would be if I wound up in somebody else's pedophile film. I'd heard that it got to the point with pedophiles in Cambodia that they're picked up at the airport and taken to a house where they can choose young boys and young girls from a catalogue, like choosing a meal from a menu. It worried me that Shanti might wind up on someone's pedophile menu, especially since I'd heard too many stories about girls as young as Shanti being kidnapped off the street and sold into prostitution. And when I saw Shanti wandering alone at night, I realised what danger she was in and became quite concerned about her safety. Close to where the family slept on the street at night, there was a shop in which there was a woman who could speak some English, and I asked her to do some interpreting for me and ask Shanti's mother if she was concerned that Shanti may well be kidnapped.
Of course she's scared about this, but she cannot do anything more. If she tell the daughter don't do it, how can she get the money to eat?
I found out that Shanti and her mother came from the countryside, that they were landless peasants, that Shanti's father, who was now divorced from her mum, had worked in a sawmill, but that in the area where they lived, a Malaysian company had been given a logging concession, and in order to maximise the profits from their logging operation, they saw to it that all the local sawmills were closed down, that the locals were not even able to collect firewood for fuel. So basically the family were rendered destitute by the Malaysian logging operation, and Shanti's mother had come to Phnom Penh. I'm not sure what happened to Dad, but had come to Phnom Penh with Shanti, hoping to find a job, hadn't been able to find a job, and so was begging on the streets, or rather Shanti was begging on the streets and supporting both herself and her mother.
She said she wants to go. Right now she's sick, and she really wants thinking for her too, but she money she cannot pay or go to school.
Most street kids like Shanti come from the countryside. Most of the young prostitutes like Truong come from this countryside. In fact, most Cambodians come from the countryside. 85% of the population of the country are peasants, for the most part subsistence farmers. So I went to the countryside to find out a little bit more about where Shanti and Truong had come from. One of the first families I met were IDP, that's the internally displaced persons. These are people who have no land. In order to support his family, the father cuts down small trees that have been left behind by the loggers. One of the dangers involved in his job is that the area where he works is littered with landmines.
He had to drive the bicycle from here from around 3 a.m. in the morning and until 11 o'clock that he will arrive to the mountain where he can find the firewood.
So he must bicycle for 8 hours to find the firewood?
Yeah, 8 hours until the Phung Tung.
So that's 16 hours of travelling each day. And how much money would he earn in one day?
If he got 50 bunches, he would get 4,500 real, that's around $1.6 a day.
How many children does this family have?
7 children, husband and wife, totally 9.
So 9 people living on less than maybe $1.50 a day?
Yeah.
If some man comes here and says, I will offer your daughter a good job in Phnom Penh and I will pay her $10 a month or $20 a month and she can send $10 a month back to help support the family. Is this the kind of family this thing happens?
A lot of such kind of men who come here and try to persuade all the daughter along this village to go there, and numerous number have been persuaded to, and then they sell it to point back to the Thai people in the Thai border. So that now make many people here afraid.
So there are some people amongst the IDP who have sold their children?
Not sold the children, but was persuade such kind of, okay, let's go to this place, or I will offer you a job like you just said, and then they sold those children to the Thai. And then they try to find, the mother try to find and spend a lot of money, and then but no news about that, because as soon as they sold to the Thailand, I think that that's finished for the future of that family and the girl.
The man who is acting as my guide around the countryside, Moni Chenda, is a Buddhist monk who runs an organisation which is committed to small-scale development of the kind that he believes is most